Welcome to Accessibility and Course Design Part 1. A lot of times when I first begin this presentation, a lot of people ask why we should strive to make our instructional materials or course content or documents in our courses accessible at all. Well, there are a few reasons here. One, accessible documents are portable. They work better across all web browsers, computer systems, mobile devices, etc. So it just helps all your students or all your users, in our case, students, be able to access our content as freely and as easily as possible. The World Health Organization does estimate approximately 2.5 billion people, or 1 in 3, do use some sort of assistive technology. So you can think about 13.3 million people in the US alone, and this statistic is a couple of years old, so it could even be more at this point. To ensure that all your learners can equally participate and access all your content without any issues, to help to meet the needs of your diverse learners, because people learn differently, they prefer to learn differently, and they absorb content better. So by providing the options that we're going to talk about today will help your students and help you meet the needs of some diverse learners. It is certainly more time efficient to create these and employ these accessibility techniques when you're creating your course or the content for your course, rather than having to retrofit, go back and edit all your content. And what I mean by that is there's so many times I've seen a faculty member who has forgot to create their content with headers, alternative text, captions, etc. when they created their course. Then a week or two into the course, they get an accommodation request. And now while they're in the trenches, right, providing feedback, contacting their students, engaging with their students, teaching, now they also have to go back at the same time and edit all their materials to meet the needs of their students who might need some sort of accommodation. However, if you design with this in mind and you create your content and materials to be accessible before your course begins, you don't have to do that. It's already done for you. And finally, ADA, accessibility for all electronic documents, including course content, materials, assignments, etc., are protected by both federal and state laws. And there have been some large lawsuits in the last several years regarding accessibility in higher education. So some things we should consider when creating our course content and creating our materials for accessibility is to make sure that within all of our documents, think Word, PDF, Google Docs, Canvas, we should use HTML titles or headings and styles found in these applications, as it can be very meaningful to those learners who use screen readers. Please remember that color alone to convey meaning is not appropriate, as many learners may have a visual impairment such as low vision or color blindness, and learners who are using a screen reader may not be able to take advantage of the meaning of color alone to convey meaning. I always get a question, what do I mean by using color alone to convey meaning? Well, very quickly, and the best example that I can give is a course that I reviewed many years ago. An instructor put in the syllabus that all the assignments that have the assignment name in red are due Wednesday. All the assignments that have the assignment name in green are due on Sunday. There were no due dates, no other indicator of when the assignments were due. So if you were a student who was colorblind and had a red-green issue, how could you tell when assignments were due? You couldn't. Really quick fix, either use due dates, or this instructor decided to put next to the title that was in red, in parentheses, due Wednesday. The ones that were due on Sunday and they had the title in green, she would put due Sunday. And that's fine. You can use color any way, shape, or form you like, as long as there's appropriate contrast, and we'll talk about these things a little bit later. But you can't use color alone to convey meaning. So as long as you have another way to convey meaning, feel free to use color. When creating tables, make sure that you use headings for rows and columns. This helps keep content organized, but also helps those learners who are visually impaired. Also, be sure to use tables for their intended purpose only, which is data, not layout or design. I've seen so many times where people use tables to lay out or design a document or a page in Canvas, and that really doesn't meet accessibility guidelines. So try to stay away from tables wherever you can, except when you're trying to convey data, such as an Excel spreadsheet. For all images, charts, graphs, tables, etc., we must use alt tags or alternative text, long descriptions, captions, or audio to accompany them. This is important not only for those who are visually impaired, but it can help by using multimodal learning. It'll allow your learners to have a much higher rate of retention. So we're going to go through each of these items in more detail today, and I'm also going to take you into Canvas and Word and show you how to put these things into work and into practice. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is alternative text. It's really not that hard, but it's one of the things that I find missing in probably 95% of courses that I review or that I work on. Alternative text must be added for all images, charts, graphs, and tables, as this enables screen readers to describe the image that a visually impaired person can't see. The alt text will be displayed in place of the image if for some reason the image does not load in your web browser. Please make sure to make your alternative text descriptive of what the image or table is supposed to convey. And remember that since each image or table is generally unique, so should the alternative text. When creating your alt text, make sure that it provides the content and function of the image as well as the meaning. For example, in some of my courses, I have a picture of a teacher standing next to an easel that reads syllabus. If I were simply to provide the alt text as syllabus, that would not convey to the learner what the image actually is. A more descriptive alternative text or option would be an educator standing next to an easel, pointing to the easel with the word syllabus displayed. Also, I do want to let you know that there's a special alt tag or alt text for decorative images, right? Many of us, probably all of us, use images for decorative purposes, especially within Canvas on the Canvas page to break up that white space. And that's okay to do so. If your image does not provide any instructional value, you can mark it as decorative, or if it's in Word or PowerPoint or another application, there's no decorative checkbox, you can simply use the null alt text, which is just a single space in between two double quotes. So it's quote mark, space bar, quote, okay? And that'll allow screen readers to view this and have a very short pause before they continue. So it's purely decorative. This can be helpful to segment or have any very minimal pauses so your students know, hey, there was an image there, but it's decorative in nature. However, you cannot do that for all images. If it provides any instructional value whatsoever, you must provide that alternative text as far as what that image is conveying to your students. Some additional rules for alternative text: be accurate and equivalent in presenting the same content and function of the image. So if you have the Reynolds Community College logo, you would say Reynolds Community College logo. However, if you were to click on that logo and it would take you to reynolds.edu, you would use alternative text of Reynolds homepage, right? Or www.reynolds.edu. Be succinct. This means the correct content, if there is content, and function, if there is a function, of the image should be presented as succinctly as appropriate. Typically, no more than a few words are necessary, though rarely a short sentence or two may be appropriate. If it's going to go over 2 sentences, then you really should think of using a caption as opposed to alternative text. Don't be redundant or provide the same information as text within the content of the image. Please do not use the phrases image of, graphic of, picture of when you start off your alternative text. It's usually apparent to the user that it's an image, or the screen reader will automatically put that in, so it will be redundant. It's typically not necessary that the user know that it's an image anyway, because you're conveying content as opposed to text. If the fact that an image is a photograph or an illustration is important, then you can certainly put that in there. Also, please remember that it is not appropriate to use the file name of the image for your appropriate text. Many times I see lighthouse.jpg, right, for JPEG, but that doesn't convey to the user what that is, or module1 image.gif, right? That's not appropriate. We need to make sure that we are telling the students or our learners exactly what that image is conveying. Make sure that we use captions for any complex images, charts, graphs, and tables as opposed to alternative text. Remember kind of that rule of thumb, if it goes over 2 brief sentences, you should employ captions as opposed to alternative text. The caption should contain a description that communicates the ideas rather than a spatial narrative. Just keep in mind that captions must be directly in line with the image or chart, so directly above, below, left, or to the right. You can't say see caption in footnote 1 and have it all the way at the bottom, because by the time a student using a screen reader gets all the way down to that footnote, they've now lost the content and context of why that image is important. Functional images are used to provide important functions such as navigation, and you can also provide content within those images. If the image contains only text, then the text can usually be used as the alternative image. So if you have an image again that says syllabus and that's all it says, when you click on that, it brings up the syllabus. You can use the alternative text of syllabus. And again, remember that there's that special null alt tag for all decorative images, and that's just a single space in between 2 quote marks. Let's talk a minute about headings and styles. Styles should be used to format all text in a Word document, such as headings, list, normal, title, paragraph, etc. As styles are useful as they can provide contextual information to screen readers, as the screen readers will read aloud heading 1 or title along with the heading, so learners know the relative importance of the heading. Headings should be used in a logical order, so that a heading 1 is always followed by a heading 2, and a heading 2 is followed by another heading 2 or by a heading 3. Otherwise, the screen reader user may think that they've missed a heading, or they may get confused by the order. Please remember there should only be one title, right? Or heading 1 for an entire document or page. In Canvas, it automatically labels it heading 1, the title of the page. That will be followed by a subheading, which is a heading level 2. If there's another subheading, that's again a heading level 2. But if there's a subheading, that will be a heading level 3. And as you see from the image here, it can go all the way down to heading level 6 and beyond. The normal style, or sometimes is referred to as paragraph style, should be used for the balance of text within your document or your page. And tables and list styles should be pretty self-evident as to what they should be used for. All of these are styles that are available in pretty much all word processing applications and in Canvas. When creating a document, you should use styles for all the elements in your document to ensure that it's accessible to all assistive technologies. It also does help students with cognitive disabilities or students that aren't native English speakers. So remember again that a heading 1 or H1 defines the most important heading and should only be used once for the main heading. Now, I know Word does have title and heading 1 as 2 different options. Use either or for the title. Heading should be used again in order, with heading level 6 being the least important. They should not be used to make text big or bold. They should be used for heading alone. Screen readers announce headings and identify that level of that heading. So screen readers users can call up a list of headings on a page and jump to that section much like a table of contents, since they can't quickly see the page to scan it. Headings and styles should also be used within the rich content editor in Canvas. In Canvas, like I said, the title of the page or assignment will always be the title or heading level 1 automatically, and you can't change that. That's the default. And heading level 1 is not an option in the rich content editor because it's always reserved for the title. You'll be able to begin with a heading level 2 in the rich content editor. We'll see that in a few moments. And then you can go heading level 2, 3, 4, etc. Remember the 3 C's when you're designing material, and that is content, color, and contrast. When creating all documents, materials, and content within Canvas, these items are important to keep in mind. The design of your content and materials should facilitate readability, meaning your content should be clearly organized in a consistent manner throughout each module and through the entire course. You should not use color alone to convey meaning. Take steps to ensure that there is adequate contrast on your page or document. For example, you don't want to use a white background with a light yellow color font or another light color font such as yellow or orange. The same can be said for a dark background, like this presentation. Imagine for a second if the font color I used was black. It'd be a little bit more difficult to see the text and the images rather than white. So we got to keep clear contrast in mind. And I'll show you another example when we get into Canvas in a minute. Stay away from using any blinking text. I know some people know a little bit about HTML and they like to have their text blink just to stand out or call attention to that text, but that can potentially invoke seizures in people with certain disabilities or disorders. It's always best to never use blinking or flashing text. The other thing when it comes to color is please do not use blue for any font within your document or underline text as well anywhere in your document unless those items are hyperlinks. So the only text that should be blue and or underlined are hyperlinks, right? Only URLs, nothing else within your document. All right, so let's take a few minutes now to transition over into Word and Canvas, and let's take a look at what we talked about in theory and turn it into practice, or how do you actually do these things in Word and or in Canvas. So let me quickly transition here to a Canvas course. I already have a Canvas course page up here. Very plain, right? Nothing real structured here. We do encourage you to use the templates that are provided to you within all Canvas courses. Those templates help with the heading styles and they help give you a professional look and feel to your course. We'll also say that many faculty have come to us in CETL and said, I've gotten great feedback on my pages since I've been using the templates. Students really enjoy them. So that's extremely important. But let's just take this page here. There's no real structure to it. You can see it's just paragraph text. How do I know? Because when I put my cursor on a line, below the rich content editor box is a P for paragraph, right? But I want to structure this page a little bit more. So obviously, welcome to Accessibility in Action. These module objectives, instructional materials, readings, videos, these are different headings or subheadings. So we need to let Canvas know how to properly code this. It's simple. All we have to do is welcome, right, is a heading level 2, because we already covered that the page title in Canvas is a heading level 1. We can't change that. So if you just highlight this, so this will be a heading level 2, come up here to where it says paragraph, and you put it to heading 2. It's that simple. Now, if I didn't like this being 28.8 pixels and a black font, or maybe I wanted it bold and red, I can do that. It's not going to change it. It's a heading level 2. I simply highlight the text. I could say, well, let's make this 24 point and let's bold it and make it a dark red. I can certainly do that. Now, every time I do that, people always, oh, you can't do that. You can't use red font. Well, students who can't see or differentiate red. Well, that's okay here because whether I have it in red, black, pink, orange, it doesn't matter. I'm not using color to convey meaning. So whether they see welcome in red, gray, or black, it doesn't change the meaning. So it's okay to use. Now I have the next one, welcome to Accessibility in Action, next header. That's going to be a subheading below welcome. So that's going to be a heading level 3. So it's the same way. I just come up here to paragraph and choose heading 3. It's really that simple. Module objectives, that is not a subheading of welcome. That's a subheading of the page. So that's, again, just like welcome, a heading level 2. So again, I can click that, go to heading 2. If I wanted to, I could again change the size, the bold, and put a color on it. Same thing with instructional materials, readings, and videos. These are different headings, but instructional materials are a subheading of the page, where readings and videos are subheadings of instructional materials. So instructional materials here would be a heading level 2, and I'll just change everything to make it standard here. Readings is a heading level 3, as is videos. Okay, it's that simple to put a heading organization on your page. Now, if you go, did I do that? I don't remember what I did to welcome to Accessibility in Action. You can click on that. Down below the rich content editor box, you see it says H3. So that tells you heading level 3. Okay. Now in module objectives, if I hit enter and I want to start adding my objectives, I probably want to change this a little bit. So maybe I'm going to make it 12 point, take out the bold, and I'm going to put black because this is going to be my paragraph font. So I could say in this module, you will learn, and I can start listing my objectives here. But notice if I click on it, it says paragraph up here, and it has a P for paragraph here. Paragraph is the bulk of your normal text. Okay. Now remember I was talking about color. Color alone can't be used to convey meaning. So we're good here in color, but we have to look at color for contrast as well. Right here, a dark red on a white background looks great. There's no problems whatsoever with that. However, let's say if I did this, and you're going to laugh, but I've seen it happen in many courses, and I did that. That's a significant issue in Canvas or in any page, document, etc., because there is not sufficient contrast between the background and the text, right? We can't see it well. So let's fix that issue and just make it darker again. Piece of cake. Scrolling down, you notice I did put in an image here. Okay, why did I put an image? Because I want you to see how you can use alternative text. It's very simple to put alternative text, whether it's actual alternative text or labeled as a decorative text within Canvas. You just click on the image as I did here, and then click on image options. That's going to open up a new window or a sidebar. You can see that the current alternative text says headings.png or ping. That's not acceptable because that is the name of the file, right? That doesn't convey the information in this image, right? Canvas won't generally pick up on that. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. It just sees that there's something in there. So I got a couple of options here. If this is purely decorative, no instructional value whatsoever, I can just come here, choose the decorative image box, and I'm good, right? That'll put the coding of that single space between two quote marks, okay? But let's pretend it's not. All I have to do is click in here, hit delete, and type in my image. So I could say heading levels in Canvas in the rich content editor. Heading levels displayed are, and I could go and list paragraph normal, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, heading 5, and heading 6. And that would explain to a user or a student what this image is trying to convey, right? When I finish my alternative text, come down here, click done, and now I'm good. Okay, so it's pretty simple to put these items into practice. It doesn't take us long, especially if we do it when we're creating the page or material. Okay, so let's take a quick look at a document here. I'll just bring up a new blank document, and we're going to do the same thing, right? It's in Word. Everything is similar in nature, but the way you do it is a little bit different because it's Word versus Canvas. But if you can do it in Word, you can do it in PowerPoint, so it's pretty easy. So I can say we can have a title, we can have a subheading, a subheading, another subheading. Okay, you get the idea, and I can put this is my normal font. So that's your normal paragraph font. Okay, but up here in the ribbon, you see styles and headings. You see a heading 1, you see a title. So I click on that title, and I can choose either heading 1 or title. Either one is fine, right? But remember, a heading 1 or a title should only be used once in the document. So I highlight title and I click title. Now it applied that heading to the word title. Maybe I don't like this. Maybe I want it centered. Maybe I wanted a different font. I can do that. I can just come up here, right click on that title style, click on modify, and I can change anything about this. So I can say, well, I want it bold. Oh, I want it Algerian, which I probably would never use. And I want it centered. Okay, so I click OK. There we go. Automatically applies it. Same thing with subheading. So this is a heading level 2. I can highlight it, click on heading level 2. We're going to keep it blue just for a moment, but remember, we don't ever want any font to be blue and or underlined unless it's a hyperlink. Then we have a subheading or a heading level 3. So I highlight that, go up here to heading 3. This is another subheading or another heading level 2. So here we go. And this is my normal font. See, Word automatically defaults to normal. Normal is synonymous with paragraph. Canvas calls it paragraph, Word calls it normal. So for the subheading or a heading level 2, I don't like blue font. As I said before, we should never use blue font unless it's for a hyperlink. So I will come up here, right click on heading level 2, choose modify, and I will just choose, we'll go with black. Okay. Click OK. Now notice all my subheadings level 2s automatically changed. To make that more pronounced, let me go in and modify it. I'll make it bold, and instead of black, I will make it a bright red. Click OK, boom. So I'm not changing each one, right? So once you apply a style, if you have to modify that style, it's going to automatically update all the styles in your document. So you don't have to do each and every one. Now this was my heading level 3. Again, don't like blue font, so I will go in heading level 3. And we will just change that to, for our purposes, a green, just so we can differentiate it on this page. And now you notice it's green. Okay, so it's pretty easy. It's just click, right? You can right click and modify the style any way you want, but it's pretty simple to apply these styles. It really doesn't take a lot of time to do so when you're creating your documents. But imagine, again, teaching your course, answering student emails, providing feedback, and then now having to do this for everything in your course at the same time. You want to kind of steer away from that. All right, so let's grab an image to put in here. Give me 1 second just to find an image to put in. Let's see, where do I have one in this folder? Oh yeah, we'll just do we'll do this. Oh. Okay. So now this is pretty much a decorative image. So I would use that null alt text, but if I was doing it, I would, because there's text in the image, the best thing to do would put learning objectives ADLT 302 in here. So it's a similar process to Canvas. It's just a little bit more steps to get to where you need to add alternative text to in Word. But if you click on the image and then right click, you'll notice another menu comes up. Click Format Picture, and the Format Picture sidebar will be displayed. You will click on the third icon here, the Layout and Properties icon, and then you notice there's 2 options, text box and alt text. Click alt text, and here's where you would put in your alternative text for that image. You don't want to put it in title. Title is if you ever have hovered your mouse over an image and text pops up, that's title, but that is not alternative text, okay? You put it down in description. So here, if I wanted to label it as a decorative image, let's pretend it was, all I would do is put quote, single space, quote. And that is the null alt text, right? Signifies decorative image. But I would probably put learning objectives ADLT 302. That would be my alternative text. Okay. Then I can just close this down and I'm done. It's really that quick, that simple. It doesn't take long at all. It's just the most appropriate thing to do, and it helps all of our content, all of our materials be accessible. Remember, the key is here to make an effort. We don't expect perfection. The laws don't expect perfection, but what we have to show is that we are making a reasonable effort to make our materials accessible. That's really it for accessibility part 1. In accessibility part 2, we'll go into a little bit more things such as links, and we'll start looking further into different options that you have for accessibility. We'll also look at accessibility checkers in Word and in Canvas, which can help ensure that your documents are accessible and that you didn't miss anything. They are not 100% perfect. If they say, hey, you're good to go, that doesn't mean you didn't forget something, okay? And they don't check for everything. Microsoft's accessibility checker is much more detailed than Canvas is, but Canvas and Instructure are currently building that out. They're going to continually do so. So these are things to keep in mind. But if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Cedal at reynolds.edu. If not, then I hope everybody has a wonderful day.